debate, uncut, and after show. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to On the Level, Thomas van der Zander, Cannabear, Gary Hughes, Measured Flat, Chris Wouters, Mr. Amish, Sensible Goat, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, the name's Burley, Twodwazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, JMales24, Unimento, Iron26, Endless, Golden McKiernan, Retro Bill, Level Plain Poem, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Mel B. Styles, Hairy Blade, Mobile Mac 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, oh, I've lost my place, Life is Short, Texas Mike, Uncut, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Among some other things Jado said. Right, Jado?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're presenting to the public, you need to have them ingrained in what you're saying and hanging on to what you're saying. And first of all, it doesn't matter what your accent is. If you're monotone, straight away, when you look at your statistics on YouTube, you'll see that people drop off straight away. So you need to be dramatic in what you say, and look, let's face it, Brian's not dramatic, and he's monotone. So there's already two strikes, and then he coughs, splutters, and says and a lot. So that's his third strike. And in drama, you learn to eliminate that.
Yeah. All right. Well, fair enough. Maybe Nathan knows something about this since he took drama classes.
So now that I've said that, next time you listen to a top song, not recent, but a top song that's popular, listen to the lyrics, and you'll make out that they make sure that you hear the first and last letter of every word that they say.
Not true. I mean, did you ever listen to Nirvana? Nevermind. My goodness, I. And they didn't have the words in the booklet. They only had a few of the words, so you really had no idea what he was singing in that album.
And nor do the people that listen to him. So that doesn't, not really.
But he was very successful. That album was huge. So yeah, that how do you explain that? At least it goes against what you said then. In the sense, you have at least we have an example that goes against that. Let's say that.
Mic check.
Yeah, we got you.
Mike is good. Mike is good. Good morning, Neil.
Too
How are
loud.
you? All the way in Jersey today.
Where in Jersey, Neil?
Was heading towards Perth Amboy. I think I'm in Lakeview.
All right. You got work there or?
Yeah. So now I'm getting off. I'm going to I-195 West for another 20 minutes. I've been driving for 2 hours.
Be safe out there, man.
Hey, Neil, do you
Probably,
know much
if
about
I
New
know
York?
what,
Wait, 95 is not west, bro. 95 goes north and south.
I'm telling you what the sign says. I'm going 195, not 195 West towards Trenton.
All right. Yep.
If I know this guy, it's a high end area. But now I got a knot in my stomach because my freaking check engine light starts flashing. Then it stops. It's not on no more. My cruise control's not working. But the car feels like it's running fine. I'm gonna have to get it checked before I head back to Alabama with my family.
There's always something with cars, man. Always something. Unless you have Toyota.
That's a fact. But I tell you
That is
what,
a fact.
I've got over 40,000 miles, just about 40,000 more on this car. And I haven't had a problem.
Man, 40,000, that's a new car. You shouldn't have any problems. And it should be all under
No. I
warranty
bought ho.
still.
I bought it with 67,000 miles on it. I put 40,000 on it less than a year,
Okay. All right.
and I've had
Different
not a
story.
problem.
What kind of car, if you don't mind sharing?
The one I got last year, the what do you call it? The Enclave.
What? I don't even know. What is
Enclave.
that?
That's why am I freaking
Enclave?
drawing a blank today? Drawing a freaking blank of what kind of car it is.
It's a Buick.
Buick.
All right.
See, that's the kind of shit that worries me. I could not remember what make this car was.
Old age, Neil. You ever walk into a room and be like, wait, why'd I come in here? Yep.
Yeah, just
Welcome to
yesterday.
being older. There you go.
It's looking more like my son's gonna have to take me out. So what happened over the weekend? Any Ball Earth news?
I was ill all weekend. Still am. I almost didn't do a show today.
Loads of stuff happened over the weekend.
Why? What
Neil.
happened?
Well, Will Duffy did a video making fun of Nathan QE and the gang in relation to calling him out on his quote unquote experiment. And Globebusters did a show talking about how FED is falling apart because of the continual arguing, Brian, Nathan, and QE in relation to Friday's show and the weeks prior saying that it's getting worse and worse. And Jake and Q and Fee did a show basically calling everybody out.
Oh, well, isn't that nice? Globebusters watch our show. I wouldn't know what's going on their show. I don't watch.
Wait
So-
a second.
so-
They think we're falling apart?
The criticism is that we argue on this debate show. Okay, well, fair enough, I guess. I guess it would be better if we weren't arguing with each other.
Time out. First we're an echo chamber. Now we're arguing with each other,
It's
and
always
the
been
show's
same.
falling apart.
Nothing's ever changed, right? We're all alpha males. We all want to be right first and foremost, and therefore will challenge anything that we see as not necessarily in line with our original thought, our correct assertions that we came up with before anyone else. So therefore we're going to challenge each other and we're going to debate about it. I'm not just going to accept what Brian says carte blanche. And Brian won't accept what I say. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm really ill. I know why too. It's because I've
They
prepared
might
myself
be.
for a day off or two. And my body's going, all right, well, then now's the time to be ill.
You sound a little better than you did on Friday, Nathan. You feel a little better?
About the same as I did on Friday, having got a lot worse over the weekend and spent most of it in bed. Fortunately, I had lots
Shit.
of videos ready to publish. So I just woke up, would from my bedside, go onto the iPad and go publish a video and then go back to sleep.
That's not good.
What are they going to say when the book comes out? That we totally fell apart?
They should hear some of the videos I made recordings of. So for the majority, and this is all my fault, I'll take full responsibility for this, right? Because it's my book and I'm very stressed about it while they're going through it. So I'm getting quite vicious with some of them and telling them off, getting irate, being blunt, short, rude with all of them while they're helping me. Right, so there's a few ironic moments. Well, because we're recording it so we can go back and review what we've said about it and then obviously make alterations based on what we've said in the recordings while we're going through this book, doing like the 5th draft. Anyway, there'll be a point in the recording, not that this isn't ever going to make it to the light of day. It's not really broadcastable material. It's there for a purpose, like editing a book. But there's points where I obviously recognise how scummy I'm being to the people who are helping me, and I've had to stop and go, you do realise I'm really grateful for your help, and I'm so grateful. It's just because I'm stressed, right? Well, that's, in that instance, is one of the few very rare occasions where the animosity, which it's me getting irate with the people who are helping me, is because of stress. Most, if not all, of the rest of the occasions, the only stress is the stress in the moment where you might be getting talked over and you just want to be heard for a second, you just want the mic, and that's a little bit irritating, as opposed to, I'm not really 100% sure this is a good point, and my counterparts on the panel might disagree because they think it's a bad point. That's never going to be the case. You know, you think, or Brian, let's use Brian. Brian thinks it's a fantastic point. He presents it because it's awesome and he knows it is. And we go, well, have you thought about this? And he goes, yeah. And he might get a bit defensive, but it's not because of stress. Yeah? Whereas when people say things like they're falling apart, no, we're not. Do you think anything's changed come the beginning of this week versus the beginning of last week or the beginning of... No. No, that's just how we interact with each other. Nothing's ever changed. And, you know, the English people on the panel, or Irish, British, whatever you want to call us, collectively on these little islands, will behave in the way that we behave amongst ourselves towards each other in a very sort of stereotypical Brit way, when we take the piss out of each other, call each other stupid in a nice way. Now, Anthony Riley broke this down 5 years ago for the audience, mainly for the Americans, because of how, and he had to break it down repeatedly to Arwen, because for whatever reason, Arwen just didn't seem to get it. You know, having a little neg here and there is actually men in Britain's way of saying, we like you, you're our friend, you stupid idiot. It may not seem like it, but it is. And, you know, especially Adam, Brian, and myself are always doing that to each other. Yeah? So, like I say, I'm just pleased to hear that they're watching. Good, good, good. Hey, guys. Nice to have you. Thanks for watching.
Oh, not in Britain. Do the same thing in Brooklyn. If we don't like you, we ignore you. If we break your balls, that means we do like you.
Yeah. Yeah, similar thing here. Call it breaking
That's the
their
way it
balls.
is in the union too.
Union?
In the union, I'm a union iron worker. Well, retired now, but in the union, like when you're an apprentice, and if you're not getting your balls busted, then you better go find a new trade, because that means every journeyman doesn't like you, and you're not going to make it far in the trade. But when they're riding you and they're on your ass, like that's when, okay, they like you, and they see potential in you, and they want to teach you the right way because they like you. So
Right.
like that's why they say, hey, if no one's screaming at you, you might want to go find a new trade, because that means nobody likes you.
Exactly. That was the sentiment I tried to get across when we're criticising Witsit. You know, at least for a fairly significant period, we're like, we're doing this because we like you. You know, we want you to do well.
Right. It's just called being a man. That's the way we express our love, right?
Well, it's because we don't grow up. That's how boys behave. But boys are just larger.
Right.
Men are just larger boys.
Right. With money. we're boys with money.
And more expensive toys. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I can only go back to the days when all I needed was a G.I. Joe.
Oh, those are good days right there.
Who is Flat Earth Ranger?
Who am I?
Yeah,
I
hello.
have no clue.
Hello.
Hello. I only ask because there's been, I don't know, at least half a dozen occasions where there'll be a back and forth with a fundy, and at a crucial moment, you'll open your mic, not really say much, and just cause a bit of audio chaos while there's a really crucial point coming.
Yeah, sometimes I get phone calls and it takes me off mute.
Oh, it's one of them. Okay, I take it all back. Don't worry about it. It's not your fault.
You know, over in the 24/7 the politics server, they finally banned him. You guys know Scott Mackey or whatever his name is. He always used to try to discredit me being an ironworker, because they would bring up a bridge that's a mile long that would have to account for curvature, and then I would bring up a bridge we built 2.5 miles long. That's the LAX People Mover, and never once did we have to account for curvature. And then they go, "Oh, well, 2.5 miles, it's insignificant." Well, then how are you accounting for it in a 1 mile? But Scott Mackey, or whatever his name is, McCackey, whatever, he used to always be like, "Oh, you're just a grunt. You don't know. You don't touch blueprints." And I'm like, dude, you have no idea. Just stop. But he used to do that to try to discredit people. He would always do that, no matter what you were doing in your career.
Oh, I
But yeah,
hope in 2024 you've realised the positive spin attributes of that type of discussion. So it starts off with, oh yeah, of course we account for curvature in bridges. Then you say, well, there's no accounting for curvature in bridges I've built. They say, well, it would be insignificant over the 2 miles. That's where you stop, you pause and go, okay, so you would accept that this bridge is measured on a flat earth and built on a flat earth then? Insignificant curvature means no curvature, means we're building on it flat, we're measuring it flat. Okay, so that's a concession from our opponent. So you understand, and I understand, that we're building on Earth as a flat plane. Yes, no curvature, insignificant. Great, so we're building on it flat then. So that's them conceding that they appreciate, they know it's flat, and in certain circumstances, locally, it's acceptable. Well, we shouldn't just sort of whistle past this. Okay, so you're saying you will accept that we will build this bridge flat. Yeah, that's because they're going to measure Earth flat and then build on it flat. So we're measuring and building on Earth flat. Okay, so that's in the pot. Brilliant. Measured and built on Earth flat. Where's the curve measurements? Oh, there aren't any. There's just use of flat Earth measurements to extrapolate out into Earth curve calculations. So there aren't any Earth curve measurements, and regardless of how small you say the area is, we definitely do build on and measure Earth flat. Let's just stick with that then, until you can show something otherwise.
That's a great point. And I love the way you drive that home, Nathan.
They know it too. The ones who've been looking into it just have cognitive dissonance of a greater disorder than most of them do, because they haven't looked into it. So they just go, yeah, well, of course it's acceptable as being a globe, because it is a globe. And then they get on with their day. Then someone comes along and goes, maybe I'll look into it a bit further. And they look into celestial navigation and see how they must get flat Earth elevation angles to the stars. And then in their mind, they go, but that's okay. We do it with a dangling globe that isn't the measurement of the surface below the tangent that we're doing. Look, here it is on page 87. So that's okay. We can measure Earth flat with respect to a tangent plane to the globe of Earth we're not measuring. That makes it okay. And then they get on with their day. But in order to get to the point where they accept there's a dangling Earth below the plane they're measuring, they must accept that they're measuring a plane. Doesn't matter that they've apologised for it afterwards, or explain why they wouldn't need to measure the bit dangling below that they say is at a tangent. Like, why would I give you this assumption? What are we actually measuring? Oh, the tangent plane. Well, what makes it a tangent if it's got absolutely no association with a dangling dingleberry that we're not measuring, that you assume, and that dangling berry below the tangent we are measuring that is flat only comes into existence after we measure Earth flat and derive radial values and then create models to have dangling globe Earths below tangent planes that we measure in reality on a flat plane. So it's a long cry from the actual measurement to the dangling assumption of a tangent plane with a dingleberry Earth below it as their justification and apology for what? Measuring Earth flat. They're apologising for how we measure Earth. Just accept how they measure Earth. Oh, what? You've got an apology, have you? You tell me that it is insignificant. What is insignificant? Oh, Earth curve's insignificant. Yeah. You believe in it, though, don't you? Telling me it's insignificant, like I give a crap. The measurements are all that matters. You telling me how insignificant your bleeding belief is inconsequential.
No, they don't get that.
But yeah, put out a whole bunch of
I
videos
was
over the
part of
weekend.
getting rid of Scott Mackey.
Sorry, go ahead, Adrian. Sorry.
I was saying I was part of getting rid of Scott out of 24/7. The biggest problem we had with Scott was that he would sit in the room all day and he would wait for new people to come in. And when we were having, or somebody was having a decent discussion with someone who genuinely wanted to discuss the topic, he would wait and then he would jump in and derail at a point where he felt it was a good time to do it. And his favourite saying was, you just don't understand what you're saying, or, if you gave a citation, you just don't understand what you're reading. Let me explain. And that was the reason, we're sick of the explanations, we're sick of the derailing, and he's a real problem. He can be a problem, or waiting for new flat earthers to come in where he says, let me explain, and takes them around in a big circle. So that's how that sort of ended up happening.
Yeah. He's one of those, like, he's like a snake in the bush, he just kind of waits and then he tries to discredit. So like, let's say someone has a really good conversation, and let's say like this person that was asking questions because they, they're on the fence or whatever, he would try to then, like, he'll jump in and be like, That guy doesn't know what he's talking. You don't know what you're talking about. Like you're just saying that. Like he's just so like, man. I'm glad they finally kicked him.
Flat earthers should never allow a baller to explain anything to them.
Well, that's right. We don't need explanations, do we? I can explain to you how the magical unicorn pulls the moon across the sky. I can even probably give you some maths for it. Not interested.
Everybody's got an explanation. The baller's going to come in. He's either going to come in with proof of curvature, proof of his spinning water ball. Other than that, I'm not interested in anything you got to say. We don't need explanations. We need proofsies, and you ain't got any.
Yeah. They just try to, you said, try to interject, try to intercede, and try and mess up the new flat earthers, yeah, that aren't really well versed yet or haven't had a lot of debates or conversations, and then they sort of target those people. Yeah, it's not cool.
Yeah, I feel like that's what happened a couple of weeks ago in politics when Nathan was breaking down how the new worlds were expanded, how they were measured flat, and how now they're taking us to outer space for these new worlds. The guy was interested. He was asking questions, and then that triggered a bunch of ballers. And then I think it was 4 or 5, one after the other, kept coming in, and Nathan dealt with them all. But yeah, that triggered them. That somebody was actually paying attention and wanting more.
Oh yeah, they don't like that.
Is he starting the show?
Good morning,
Slacking
everyone.
again.
Hello.
Not on the ball today. I'm a bit ill, so if things look a bit weird in the transitions, it's because I'm a bit fuzzy. That's all it is. There we go. We're on the right page now. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge? That's a horizon, formerly known as Earth curvature.
Why? What does it matter? The show's falling apart anyway. Might as well just pack it in.
The show's falling apart. No, it isn't. What are you talking about? Me being a little bit sick and having slightly late transitions by about 3 seconds doesn't mean the show is falling apart. It just means I've got a bit of a hold on. Just means I've got a cough. I say I've got a cough. I've had a fever all weekend. Absolutely awful, I feel. It's because it's my birthday tomorrow, and as a consequence, I'm probably going to have the day off. And because I've kind of committed to myself that I'm going to have a day off, maybe get a haircut, things like that, my body's gone, oh, well, this is definitely going to be a great time to be really ill. Like when you book a holiday, I'm sure there's people in the audience that have done this, right? You book a holiday, and you know exactly when it's going to be, and you work and work and work, you prep, you get all your stuff ready, you got everything sorted, you're ready to go on holiday. A day before you leave, suddenly you've got a really severe cold. The minute you finish work, you're like, what's going on? I feel terrible. Well, that's probably me. So just to fill the audience in on why Neil would say such a thing, it's because apparently we've got some fans. People watch us from Globebusters and were critiquing us on how they feel the show is going, which is lovely. Thank you. I mean, I don't watch their show, which is, just one of those things. I find it boring and not really very flat earth related. But there we go. They watch ours, and apparently they think that the arguments between Quantum Eraser, Brian, and myself are indicative of the show falling apart. Other than it being par for the course and what we always do, I don't really agree. But there we go. They're entitled to their opinion. And thank you for watching. If you're watching now, thank you so much for being here, members of the Globebusters team. Hopefully you've heard some of our critiques of your nonsense when it comes to ether and your scientific validity that you don't have for anything you claim when you're using pseudoscience like Mickelson Morley, lying to your audience about things like that. Hopefully you've heard me say those two things as well. Or would it just be whether or not the participants on the show get on? as opposed to your fraud and use of science when you don't have any? I mean, I would think you'd address that. But there we go. Those sorts of things only get dressed as me being called a scammer by the Globebusters participants now, don't they? Even though they're very keen to tell their audiences how it's important to go to Antarctica for an experiment. I mean, these people are shills, liars, frauds, charlatans. They tell me that I'm a scammer and tell my audience I'm a scammer because I say science proves, therefore scammer. Right? Scammer time, right, Jaren? Then the next thing you know, they're telling their audience how they must get behind an experiment, failing to recognise and affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy and begging the question of a globe with antipodal positioning. You'd think they'd pay attention to those things we've critiqued about the Globebusters idiots and what they say when they're out and about doing their thing. Witsit and Jera and Dave and all the rest of those clowns who haven't got a clue about flat Earth and are merely here to punt apps and delude people into believing that experiments aren't actually proof of anything unless you're going to Antarctica, Jaren. There you go. Maybe respond to them of those things there, Globebusters. Enjoy.
Is that the Old Wives Club you're talking about?
Old wives, what?
The Old Wives Club, you know, that spread old wives' tales.
That's a new one. I mean, I kind of know what an old... I thought old wives' tales were what you would tell your kids, like Hansel and Gretel, to stop them doing certain things, like following strangers. I thought that's what old wives' tales were.
Well, they're based around superstitious things, what you shouldn't do because something might happen, or yeah.
And how does that relate to Globebusters? I'm not following.
Well, if it's not scientific, then it's probably an old wives' tale. What is it? I look at the sky and what do I see? Well, that's just what old wives used to say.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I kind of see what you're saying. Well, when we say they're using parlour tricks, you would say, well, without the parlour trick, it's just a just so story, aka old wives' tale. Gotcha. Yeah, just so story, old wives' tale. Most of the time it's not, though. They're trying to imply they've got some sort of scientific validity for this ether crap that they're peddling with free energy. And they don't have any scientific validity. They don't have any observed phenomena. They're hijacking an inferred phenomena that doesn't exist from gravity to infer there's a downward acceleration. So, you know, I tell you what, I've covered a Globebusters ether nonsense many a show. Glad they're watching, though. It's nice to know. But what's that? I need to get on better with QE and Brian, do I? Oh, I'm all right with them. They're all cool with me too. Hope that's cleared that up. We'll still definitely be arguing with each other when Brian asserts something that I don't necessarily know. Through my ignorance alone. If nothing else, I'll disagree. Just because he's Irish. I mean, why would you trust him? Therefore, I'll argue with him. But that doesn't mean I don't like the guy. He's very pleasant. As is QE, most of the time. And that is generally how we will forever interact with each other. That will never change. We will always be arguing. Like brothers argue. They still love each other dearly. And I love Brian dearly too. And QE for that matter. In a brotherly kind of, I'll fight with them at every opportunity kind of way. It's really not a cause for concern. What is a cause for concern is pretending you've got science when you haven't. That's fraud. I would concern yourselves with those critiques that we've actually highlighted of Globebusters, as I've just said. Anybody else catch this? Like I say, I don't watch their show. It's nice that they watch ours. Anybody else see this? Shout out to Unitox Femu. More G proved more Sukoli. Hello from sea level. I don't understand what that means. And I'm on one screen, so I can't put the super chat on screen for the audience. I'm really sorry, Unitox Femu. Sasha. Thank you for the super chat. I'll give it a little heart so the audience can recognise that I've seen it. But anything else happened over the weekend that perhaps we should be aware of? Neil? Did you see this? Slander in regards to how Brian and I and QE, who are nothing but completely conciliatory with each other always, how dare they even assert that we would ever argue?
No, it's the first time hearing of it, but it's good that they're listening.
Well,
Didn't somebody say Will Duffy mentioned you as well? Maybe if somebody has a video, let's check it out.
Oh, really? Will definitely gave me a mention. Oh, well, isn't that interesting? I can tie these two things together beautifully. So Globebusters like to use affirming the consequent formal logical fallacies. They have done in the past when they went to Netflix and decided to assume that if Earth would be rotating, then we'd see 15 degrees an hour of deviation in a gyro, and whether or not we'll see 15 degrees an hour in a gyro is consequent, and whether or not Glurf is true. So Glurf is true because we saw 15 degrees an hour. No, actually ether drift. That would be an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy, pointed out by me to Globebusters. I mean, I was called a scammer and such like, and ostracised from the community as it was for doing so. Nevertheless, it's definitely an affirming the consequent fallacy, which is highly humiliating for the entire Globebusters team and is, to this day, something that people will point out because they see Jaren and Bob and various other people on Globebusters' team doing a very poor job of recognising fallacy and claiming that they're doing experiments, looking through little bits of wood. Oh dear. No, they're just charlatans. There to affirm the consequent, very useful for our opponents to take the mickey out of. And they will. And here we are again with the final experiment that Jaren says is very important that we take seriously, when it's yet another affirming the consequent fallacy. If Earth is a ball, by antipodal assumption, I will observe 24-hour sun in the Antarctic region. I do! Perhaps don't. Observe 24-hour sun in the Antarctic region. Therefore, my antipodal globe assumption's true. No, it's an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy, formulated as such. If P, Earth a sphere by antipodal assumption, then Q, 24-hour sun. The idea being that the only thing that seems to be validated is the Q statement, if we have or if we don't have 24-hour sun. So we can ignore the fact that we're assuming we're travelling to the bottom of a ball by assumption when we get there. And when we see a 24-hour sun, it'll confirm that we travelled antipodal to get there. No, these two things aren't connected. It's a fallacy. Affirming the consequent, it's called. Now, all you need to do is point that out, and that would be the end of it. There'd be no more reason to go down there. Now, we might want to take the mickey out of them and say, well, go and get us the pitch data while you're at it, because you've got an antipodal assumption in your fallacy. So you're going to need to validate that antipodal assumption. Oh, you don't want to? We wouldn't be able to read how flat it actually is when we already know the data and how planes fly with respect to the horizontal reference they're using. Yeah, we already know Earth's flat, and that's how it's measured and flown upon and built on, navigated, mapped, charted, discovered new worlds with. All those things are flat, and we already know it. So we just have the fallacy then, just the if we go to Antarctica, we'll be dangling off the bottom of a ball because I say we are, and when we get there, we're definitely dangling off the bottom of a ball. Let's see what we can see, and when we see it, we'll say that confirms the bit I just assumed about being on the bottom of a ball. How pathetic that these people on Globebusters haven't even recognised this yet. I mean, you'd think they'd recognise it. I told Jaren personally! Bit slow on the uptake, even with the fallacy being pointed out to him. What's that? We're arguing? Yeah, we do that here. It's a debate show. I'll put them in the title. Let them know. Grab me a Globebusters video and I'll let them know by way of sending my very loyal supporters and viewers to their show, who typically wouldn't go because they don't want to hear lies and deceit with scientific claims of ether that aren't validated with the method of science, therefore pseudoscience. A lot of my audience has given up on you, but like any opponent, scumbag, fraudster, I'll still send my audience your way. Absolutely no issues. And someone dig me out a Globebusters link and stick it in Skype, and I'll send my audience over to Globebusters to let them know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Thank you for critiquing how well we get on with each other. Now maybe you'd like to actually address some issues in regards to the globe Earth / flat Earth debate that we debate about here, including but not limited to your use of fallacy and pseudoscience. Maybe recognise the affirming the consequent that you've got behind with one of the globe believers. Maybe not just one, lots of globe believers all singing the same praises for Jaren. I wonder why that is. It's almost like you've missed the wood for the trees and now they're all praising you as you buy into their fallacy. I'm sure they'll address all of this, given that we've addressed the issues that they've had with me and Dewey and... what was his name again? That other Irish guy? I forget his name. Brian or something. Apparently we argue. Shout out to Jardo. Will Duffy does a slight comic jab at you guys in HOS latest video by having his Wi-Fi say it's not an experiment. I'll find you a video and post it. Having his wife say it's not an experiment. What? don't really understand what that means. But thank you very much for the super chat, Jardo. Really appreciate it. Please share the show if you've not done so already. 2 clicks of the share button. Hopefully someone will send me a video link to what's them called? Globebusters, so we can send them on their way. Oh, that was what I was going to do. I was going to add them to the title of the show, wasn't I? Globebusters feedback, I'll call it, I think. Right, what else have we been talking about over the weekend? There must be other stuff other than Globebusters slagging us off. Anybody? Anybody at all? Now, I'll do some more shout-outs then. Shout out to Jardo. Sorry, I'm walking and typing. That's not something you need to apologise for, but I'll take £2 for it. Thank you very much. Also, shout out to the Price of Adam for the super chat. He says, happy birthday. It's tomorrow. But thank you, we really appreciate it. I may not have a show tomorrow. I'll probably be ill still.
Did you get permission to take off? Or what's the story? You just working on your own now?
Who?
You.
You talking to us, Neil?
Did you ask, hey guys, it's my birthday, I'm going to take the day off? Or you just taking it upon yourself like it's your show or something?
I'll do whatever I want. If I want to take a day off, I will. That's one of the only, when you work really, really hard, one of the only benefits of being a YouTuber. As in, you're your own boss. You can decide when you can, if able, or want to, if just willing, do a show or not. You know, I've got a set schedule and I appreciate that, but I don't take very much time off, Neil. This year I can't even afford a holiday for the kids, so we're too poor to take them away. So we're not even going away this summer, which is a bit weird because what little money we have had, we've spent on little classes, which are in schools. So all the kids pile out of schools, and then my kids pile into them in the school holidays when they're all running around the fields, not in school. Like today, my eldest daughter was doing how to ride a bike or a bike proficiency thing, and it was at a school, very beautiful school actually, local to me. And yeah, I can imagine it being horrendous with all the kids running around, but when there was just 4 other kids there, you're like, this is great. You know, got the run of the whole place, this beautiful building, big fields, and ride your bikes around with a teacher. 1 teacher per student, I might add. Very different to the daytime running of the school. Bloody hot it is here today. I tell you, even in this room, I haven't got my projector on because it's just, when it gets to days like this, I can't have 2 screens running because it's just too hot with 1,000 watts of power going into this projector. It just chucks out too much heat and I'll eventually pass out whilst making the show. I'm already halfway there as it is. See hot where everyone else is? Bible U says dry humour not coming through. Don't know what you mean, but it's definitely not dry heat. Sweating like a little piggy.
Does it get humid in England? Is it like humid or is it a dry heat?
It's very, very humid.
Yeah, I imagine it's going to be humid.
Well, it's like what I would
Yeah,
call...
that's how Alabama is.
Like tropical storms.
Oy.
Like really hot, really sunny, really humid, and then you get thunder and lightning at the same time.
I always figured like England and the UK or whatever, they have like the most basic weather in the world. It doesn't get too hot, but doesn't get too cold.
No, not at all. You get all 4 seasons full on. So you get a proper fall, you get a proper winter with sometimes snow, and in the summer, you know, it can get up, maybe not up to 40 degrees centigrade, but you know, it can get pretty close. So you get really hot summers. You can sunbathe here. You can burn yourself really easy. You can easily get skin cancer.
Nice.
Yeah, sweat was pouring off me. I was so hot. I was like, wow, I've got to be able to do something about it. Might shave all my hair off. Get a haircut tomorrow. That'll probably help. Or I'll look like a cancer patient. One or the other. Don't have a fully sick
for those
birthday.
few days that it gets hot, it's not worth to have an AC, right? Because a lot of people don't have air conditioning in the UK.
No, we don't.
Is that
Most
true?
people don't. So when it's hot, it's just hot.
Oh. Where I live, if your air conditioner goes out, it's like an emergency. But
yeah, dude.
Well, imagine what that
yeah,
would
but
be
I mean,
like
where I'm
here,
at,
the worst part of it
it gets
is here,
hot in March and stays hot till October.
Our homes in the UK are designed to insulate heat. They're very much designed to keep heat in. They're not designed to get it out. So on a hot day, it can become insufferable in a British house because there's no air conditioning. Opening the windows, what's that going to do? It's hotter outside than it is inside. So yeah, it's just unbearable sometimes. Anyway, enough of me moaning. It's only like this for about 3 days of the year. Iron26 says, don't have a fully sick birthday. Oh, do! Oh, well, thank you for the super chat. Did you share the show? Smash that share button if you haven't done so already. Right, did anybody get me a link for a Globebusters show? Can somebody grab me a link for a Globebusters show? Stick it into Master B so I can send them our way, or we'll have a look at what they had to say. Everybody's doing it. I don't mind, it's a Monday. I've asked 3 times already if there was anything else that was happening over the weekend.
Nobody wants to do
I didn't
it.
even know Globebusters still existed, to be honest. I thought that was kind of over. I guess I gotta go check them out again.
Well, I would if someone had grabbed me a link to their show that they critiqued us on. And then I'd be sending people out from our camp their way, you know, building the algorithmic love, hoping that they'd do the same.
If anybody has a video, guys, put it in the main text chat and we'll send it over to Nathan.
Who was it that told us? Somebody was informing us that this happened.
I believe it was Jado. Jado said it this morning. He's the one who also mentioned about Will Duffy mentioning you. So, Jado, if you can share it in the main text chat.
I'll have a look. It's the only problem with Globebusters is it goes for like 3 hours and 45 minutes. So the period when they were discussing this, I'd have to go back through it again and and timestamp it. So, and in relation to Will Duffy, it's pretty obvious who he's having a go at without him saying it, because what happens with him is he starts off by doing his new video, saying he's very proud of his new video because he's hooked up with Witcher, and he'll explain.
He broke up after Witsit. Oh dear. It's my internet. My internet's dropped.
And he's like, what? It's not an experiment?
There we go.
So he's like having a go.
For some reason, my internet's been a bit tricky, so I think we've lost the live stream temporarily. It should be reconnecting now. There we go. There's lost network connection. Oh, twitchy computer. Oh, it's because it's a warm day. We might just be going to the recording, so don't worry too much. Oh no, I've lost everybody in the server. Of course I've lost internet. It doesn't mean I've just lost the live stream.
What?
Oh, you're back, Neil?
Yeah, I've been here the whole time.
Well, okay. Well, it says I've left the meeting. Oh, I'm just having all sorts of weird, stupid computer problems, it looks like, Neil. My recording's still going. I don't think my live stream is still going. Oh, it's ended. Okay. Recording in 20 seconds. What does that mean? Well, obviously I've had a computer failure because I don't think it is actually my internet going offline. Because I still had Neil in spite of it saying it was offline, so I think I've just got a twitchy computer. Something's gone wrong, it would seem. I'm going to round out, even though I've only got 49 minutes of recorded material. But with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making this rather sketchy live stream possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. Probably no bad thing I'm ending early, as I feel absolutely awful. So with that, I'll say I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.